You passed the CPC exam, you did everything right, and now you're applying to jobs and you're hearing absolutely nothing back. Or worse, you're seeing job postings that all say, we need more than 2 years of experience. So now you're sitting there and wondering, did I waste all of my time studying? No, you didn't, but there might be some reasons that are attributing to why this is happening. And once you understand that, everything's going to make a lot more sense, and you can start making some improvements to your tactics that will help you land a job. So here's one of the things that a lot of educational institutions don't correctly or clearly explain, and that is that passing the CPC exam does not automatically mean that you are ready for all types of medical coding jobs for all types of employers. And I know that's frustrating because the certification exam is extremely hard, and for a lot of people it is a huge financial investment. And some people, if they're getting into more expensive programs, it can be even more so if you're getting associate's degrees and so forth. But from the employer perspective, what they're really thinking is, can you code efficiently? Can you handle real charts? Do you know how to work an electronic health record? Can you meet productivity standards? The CPC proves that you have a foundational understanding of medical coding, but employers want to know, can you do the job? And do you have the right speed? And do you have the right context and research capabilities? Because a lot of people are really good test takers. So sometimes they just default to, well, you passed the certification exam. You know, how do we evaluate that they know how to do this job? Well, we'll just require 2 years of experience. And that gap is where a lot of people get stuck and they experience a ton of frustration. And some people wind up leaving the industry entirely because they can't get over that hump. But here are some of the top reasons I see coders that have their CPC and are applying for jobs and are not hearing back, the reasons why they're not getting hired. The biggest issue I see is coders applying for jobs where they don't have the certification or skills to do that job. So if you have your CPC, you're trained in outpatient physician-based coding, CPT, ICD-10-CM, but I see people applying to inpatient or facility coding rules, hospital coding positions, jobs that require ICD-10-PCS, and that is a completely different system. ICD-10-CM, ICD-10-PCS are totally different. It's like learning French versus learning Spanish. So if someone's looking for someone that can translate in French and you know Spanish, you're not qualified for that position. So when employers see your resume and they see that you have a CPC and you're applying for an inpatient job, a job that's going to bill for facility coding for the hospital on the UB04, and you don't have those right qualifications because you have a CPC, they're going to filter you out because they're going to assume that you're not qualified for that role. Not saying that can't be a goal, but if you just have your CPC and you want inpatient jobs, you're going to need to get another credential in inpatient coding. So make sure that you're looking for jobs that are outpatient coding, physician coding, pro-fee coding, surgical coding, E&M coding, things that are pro-fee, CPT, ICD-10-CM, HCPCS. If it says ICD-10-PCS and you don't have PCS coding training and you don't have credentials in inpatient coding, then those aren't positions that you should spend a ton of time applying for because you don't have the requirements for them. This isn't like a situation where it's like, oh, it says you have to have 2 years experience and you only have 2 months. This is a situation where you do not have that skill set. What I really suggest you do is actually when you're searching for jobs, especially entry-level stuff, go on Indeed, go on LinkedIn, etc. And instead of searching for medical coding or medical coder, search for ICD-10. Because what that is going to do is it's going to pull up billing roles, coding adjacent roles, entry-level positions that still use those coding skills, even though the title might not be medical coder. But they're looking for someone who has some of those coding skill sets. The second reason I see people not getting hired is because there's a lot of signals on their resume that says we don't have experience. You know, there's a big experience gap that people talk about, like everyone wants experience, but employers are looking for things on your resume that maybe if they're saying, okay, well, we want 2 years experience and they're looking at you, maybe you have something else that we can work in a way that shows that you have transferable skills, that maybe you have customer service skills, or you've worked in a health setting at some point, or you have followed federal guidelines in some fashion. They're looking for that kind of evidence, not just that you passed the CPC exam or completed a course. So that is awesome, but sometimes we need a little more. And it's not a bad idea to show what experience you do have in coding, whether it's you did Practicode, whether you did some mock charts or completed an internship, you did some coursework projects, if you did training of any kind, you have a certificate of completion from somewhere. Add something on your resume that is, practical coding projects that you can showcase. The third thing is the resume. I'm going to be very, very honest. I don't hire coders anymore. I used to a few years ago, but I occasionally have people send me their resume, either because they think I'm hiring or what have you. And I've seen some things on resumes where I honestly can't even tell if the person has gotten their CPC certification. I can tell that they've maybe had some kind of training of some kind, but I don't know if they're about to sit for their exam, they passed their CPC exam. I see things like spelling errors, inconsistent formatting, where we've got one kind of text at the beginning and other formats of text in the bottom. There's no keywords, there's unclear experience. And right now, resumes are really being heavily filtered by software and automation first. So if your resume isn't optimized, even if you have it saved in the wrong kind of format, I've seen people that they think because they have their resume in a PDF, that makes it okay. But there's a difference between a searchable PDF versus you put a printed document in a scanner and scanned a PDF and it's really an image PDF. We need things that are searchable so that when recruiters are searching for certain skill sets, your document comes up. Another thing to just kind of mention off the side is, depending on what version of Word or if they're using Google Docs to open your resume, it might look different. So it is good, even if you have the Word document or the Google Doc, to save it as a PDF and send that searchable PDF to the employer. So that way the formatting all looks consistent regardless of what they're opening it with. But the nice thing about fixing resumes is you have a lot of options. There's AI tools that you can use to review your resume and give feedback so you can improve it. You could use the new AAPC resume builder that's free for members on their website. You could look at your AAPC local chapter and see if they have any upcoming events or if there's someone within your chapter that will help review your resume. Or you can use different paid services like Project Resume. You can find them at projectresume.net, and I actually have a coupon code in the comments that will save you a percentage on your purchases. Or you could use Caffeinated Career Creations. But honestly, sometimes just having someone else, even if it's a friend or a family member, just look at your resume and read it. Sometimes another set of eyes can catch things that you wouldn't have. The fourth thing is you're not applying strategically. You're just clicking apply on anything and everything that says medical coding. And that's not a strategy. That's more so just like playing the lottery. And right now the job market is incredibly competitive. So what I would suggest is be a little bit more intentional. There's nothing inherently wrong with applying to everything, but it takes a lot of time to apply to certain positions because not all of them will import your resume. And if it's something that, going back to, are we applying for the things that have the right skill sets for us, then we're wasting a lot of time that we could be focusing on more strategic matters. So look out for smaller practices or rural hospitals. Go directly onto the websites for different hospitals and healthcare organizations, because sometimes people are so thirsty to get into certain organizations, especially if they have good benefits and stuff. There's some around me like this where they don't spend a lot of time posting things externally like they used to because people are just going directly to the website or they hear things word of mouth and are applying directly. And look for things where maybe you can transfer pretty early on, like in billing, or if you're getting a job in billing or patient access or in health information management, where those could later lead to coding roles. It is that classic foot in the door strategy. Which is why tip number 5 is you're ignoring those coding adjacent jobs. That is a huge missed opportunity. I did not start out in medical coding. I completed foundational training as a medical insurance specialist and got a job in charge entry. And then I got a job in the revenue cycle, I think working claims. And then I got a job in the coding department. But I understand it, like you got a coding certification, you want to be a coder right away. I totally get that. But most people do wind up starting in roles like billing or revenue cycle or prior authorizations or insurance follow-up or denial management. And they are roles that do use coding knowledge, and they help you build some very valuable experience. So let's simplify this into a clearer plan. First, fix your job targeting. Make sure that you're applying for the right positions. If you're not certified in inpatient coding, stop applying for inpatient coding facility roles. Focus on outpatient coding or entry level or coding adjacent roles. Second, take a look at your resume and upgrade it if needed. Make sure that you have practical coding experience or coding projects that maybe you worked on. Optimize your keywords. Have a second set of eyes look at it. Third is to show applied skills. Practice consistently. Document it. Go through your EPC magazines. Talk about what you're doing to stay up to date in interviews. Fourth is expand your search. Use ICD-10-CM as a keyword and look beyond just medical coding and medical coder specialist titles. Be strategic and not just reactive. Apply intentionally, follow up. Network with your local chapters, track your progress, see if you're having more interviews with certain types of positions, and follow up with these people. If you are getting to at least the interview process and they don't select you, ask questions during the interview, like, are there any things that are making you apprehensive about me hiring me for the role, or anything that would improve my chances of getting this role, so that you know kind of, if you don't get it, what you can improve on for the next time or increase your chances, maybe if there's another opening that happens. I have absolutely seen coders not get hired for positions, but then shortly after, another position opens up and then they're first in the door to get that position. If you are in this stage right now, you're absolutely not alone. It can be very difficult to make that transition from training program to your first job in a medical coding career. But once you get in, it's much smoother with the career path. And once you understand how to position yourself, things start to click. So if you want help with studying for the CPC or the CRC, you want real coding skills, you're figuring out your next steps, I have tons of resources throughout the Contempo Coding channel. And if this video helped you out, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I will see you guys in the next video. And until then, just keep on coding on.